There's a photo from 2012 that still surprises people. Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas standing together at a boxing event, shaking hands, smiling. No animosity, no bitterness, just two men who lived through one of the most shocking nights in sports history. But on February 11, 1990, inside the Tokyo Dome in Japan, Buster Douglas, a 42-1 underdog, knocked out Mike Tyson in the 10th round and shattered the myth of invincibility. Mike was 23 years old, undefeated, 37 wins, 33 by knockout. The baddest man on the planet. The fighter everyone feared, the champion who demolished opponents in under 3 rounds. He was supposed to destroy Buster Douglas. He was supposed to win, go home, and prepare for his next victim. That's what everyone believed. That's what Mike believed. But that night, in front of a Japanese crowd and millions watching around the world at odd hours, the impossible happened. Mike Tyson got knocked out for the first time in his career. And when he fell, he took more than just a loss. He took the aura, the fear, the mystique, the belief that Iron Mike was untouchable. Today, Mike talks about that night with a mix of regret and understanding. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't focused. I thought I could just show up and win. Buster talks about it with quiet pride. Everyone said I couldn't do it, but I knew I could beat him. But on that February night in 1990, none of that mattered. What mattered was the 10 count, and Mike couldn't beat it. Mike Tyson's rise to the top was unlike anything boxing had ever seen. From the streets of Brownsville to the Madison Square Garden spotlight, he moved with terrifying speed. Seuss D'Amato molded him, trained him, gave him discipline and a father figure. And when Seuss died in 1985, Mike kept winning. By 1986, at just 20 years old, Mike became the youngest heavyweight champion in history. The knockouts were brutal. Trevor Berbick, James Smith, Pinklon Thomas, Tony Tucker, Michael Spinks lasted 91 seconds. Opponents walked into the ring already defeated. Mike didn't just beat fighters, he broke them psychologically before the first punch landed. The black trunks, no robe, the dead stare, the peekaboo style combined with devastating power. He was a predator, and everyone else was prey. By 1989, Mike was more than a champion. He was a cultural phenomenon. Movies, commercials, magazine covers, the world knew his name. He had unified all the heavyweight belts. He was making millions per fight. At 23, he seemed unstoppable, immortal. The question wasn't if Mike would win, it was how fast. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Seuss was gone. His trainer, Kevin Rooney, was fired. His marriage to Robin Givens had exploded publicly. Don King had taken control of his career. The structure that made Mike great was crumbling, but he kept winning. So no one worried, and Mike certainly didn't. Buster Douglas was not supposed to win. He was a journeyman, a solid fighter with talent, but no killer instinct. He'd lost to Tony Tucker. He'd been knocked out by Mike Williams. He had all the physical tools, 6'4", quick hands, good jab, but he'd never put it all together. Boxing insiders called him lazy, unmotivated, a guy who showed up for a paycheck. But something changed before the Mike Tyson fight. 23 days before the bout, Buster's mother, Lula Pearl, died suddenly. She was his biggest supporter, his motivator, the one who believed in him when no one else did. Her death devastated him. Most people thought he'd pull out of the fight, but Buster didn't. He stayed in camp, trained harder than ever, and he did it for her. His trainer, J.D. McCauley, saw the difference immediately. Buster was different, focused. He wasn't there for money, he was there to prove something. Still, the odds were 42-1 against him. Casinos barely took bets on the fight. It wasn't a question of if Mike would win, but what round he'd finish Buster. The boxing world treated the fight as a tune-up, a stay-busy fight before Mike faced Evander Holyfield for a massive payday. No one respected Buster, no one feared him, and that was his advantage. Mike's training camp for Buster Douglas was a disaster. He arrived in Tokyo weeks late. He was out of shape, overweight, unfocused. His sparring sessions were weak. He partied. He didn't take Buster seriously. Why would he? Buster was just another opponent, another paycheck, another easy knockout. His team saw the problems. His cornermen tried to motivate him, but Mike wasn't listening. Don King was already planning the Evander Holyfield mega fight. The contracts were being drawn up. The money was being counted. Buster Douglas was just an obstacle. A speed bump, nothing more. Buster, meanwhile, was training like it was his last fight, because in many ways it was. His career was fading. This was his one shot, his one chance to shock the world and honor his mother's memory. He studied Mike's fights. He found patterns, weaknesses. He noticed Mike's head movement had slowed. His defense was sloppier. He was hittable. And Buster had the jab to exploit it. February 11th, 1990. Tokyo Dome. Fight night arrived. The press conference was a joke. Mike barely showed up. Buster was calm, focused, determined. The atmosphere felt wrong, not like a championship fight. More like an exhibition. A coronation. Mike was bored. Buster was ready. The opening bell rang, and immediately something was off. Mike came forward like always, but Buster didn't back up. He stood his ground. He pumped his jab, long, straight, fast. And it landed again and again. Mike tried to get inside, but every time he moved forward, the jab was there, snapping his head back, controlling the distance. Round 2. More of the same. Buster's jab was dictating the fight. Mike couldn't find his rhythm. He was frustrated, pawing at Buster, missing wild hooks. The crowd was quiet, confused. This wasn't supposed to happen. By round 3, it was clear. Buster was winning, not just surviving. Winning! Mike's corner was panicking. Get inside. Work the body. He's just a jabber. But Mike couldn't adjust. He'd never had to adjust. Opponents always broke. But Buster wasn't breaking. He was boxing, controlling range, landing clean. And Mike had no answer. Then came round 8. Mike landed a massive uppercut. Buster went down hard. The crowd gasped. Here it comes, the inevitable knockout. The count started. Buster was hurt, his eyes glazed. He pulled himself up at 8. The referee looked at him. You okay? Buster nodded. And the fight continued. Mike charged, but Buster survived, made it to the bell, and in his corner something incredible happened. He didn't panic. He regrouped. He told himself, I'm still winning. Keep boxing. Round 9. Buster came out sharp. The knockdown didn't shake him. He went back to the jab, back to his game plan. Mike was tired now, breathing heavy, swinging wild, missing. The aura was fading, and Buster could feel it. Round 10 was coming, and Buster knew this was his moment. Round 10. Both fighters came to the center. Mike was desperate now. He knew he was losing. He needed a knockout. Buster stayed calm, kept jabbing, kept moving. Then halfway through the round, Buster saw an opening. Mike threw a lazy jab. Buster slipped it and fired back. A short right hand, then a left hook, then another right. 4 punches. Clean, precise, devastating. Mike's legs wobbled. His eyes went blank. He stumbled backward into the ropes, tried to stay up, but his body betrayed him. He fell. Face first, onto the canvas. The Tokyo Dome erupted. The referee rushed in, started counting. Mike tried to get up. He reached for his mouthpiece on the canvas, fumbled with it, put it in backward. His eyes were unfocused. His legs weren't working. The count continued. 5, 6, 7. Mike was on one knee trying to stand, but he couldn't. 8, 9, 10. The referee waved his arms. Fight over. Buster Douglas had knocked out Mike Tyson. The 42-1 underdog had done the impossible. Buster fell to his knees, crying, screaming, pointing to the sky. "That was for you, Mom." Mike sat on the canvas, confused, defeated. For the first time in his life, he'd been knocked out. And he couldn't process it. The crowd was in shock. Commentators were speechless. Around the world, people watching at 3 a.m. on the East Coast couldn't believe what they'd just seen. The invincible Mike Tyson, on the canvas, counted out, beaten. The myth was dead. The excuses came immediately. Mike's team claimed the count in round 8 was slow when Buster went down. They said Buster should have been counted out. They protested to the boxing commissions. Don King tried to overturn the result. The media debated it for weeks. But the truth was simple. Mike lost, fair and square. In the days after, Mike looked lost. He did a press conference where he seemed detached. "I just wasn't ready. I wasn't focused." But there was no real accountability, no acknowledgement that Buster had simply been better that night. The excuses piled up. He was sick, the count was slow, the referee was biased, anything but the truth. Buster, meanwhile, was suddenly the heavyweight champion of the world, the man who shocked the planet. He did interviews, went on talk shows, got endorsement deals. For a moment, he was the biggest name in sports. But the boxing world still didn't respect him. They called it a fluke, said Mike wasn't himself, said Buster got lucky, and in some ways, they were right. Buster's reign didn't last long. 8 months later, he faced Evander Holyfield and lost by knockout in the 3rd round. He came in overweight, out of shape, unprepared. The fire that burned for Mike Tyson was gone, and Buster faded back into obscurity. But for Mike, the damage was permanent. The aura was gone. The fear was gone. Opponents no longer walked into the ring defeated. They'd seen him on the canvas. They knew he was human, beatable. And Mike spent the rest of his career trying to recapture what he lost that night in Tokyo. He never fully did. Today, Mike Tyson is 58. He's talked about the Buster Douglas fight hundreds of times. In early interviews, he was defensive, bitter, made excuses. But in recent years, especially after therapy and sobriety, he's been honest. "I deserved to lose that fight. I wasn't prepared. I didn't respect Buster, and he made me pay. That loss taught me more than any win ever did." Buster Douglas is 64 now. He never fought for a major title again after losing to Holyfield. He had a brief comeback in the late 1990s, but retired for good in 1999. He struggled with weight, with health, went through a diabetic coma in 1994 and nearly died. But he recovered, lost over 100 pounds, and now he's healthy, happy, proud of what he accomplished. When they met in 2012, they shook hands, took photos together, talked about that night. Mike told Buster, "You were the better man that night." Buster smiled. "I know. There's no animosity, no grudge, just mutual respect between two men who lived through one of boxing's most unforgettable moments. The fight itself lives forever on YouTube. Millions of views, highlight reels, documentaries. Every time someone talks about the biggest upsets in sports, February 11th, 1990 is mentioned. Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson, 42-1. Tokyo Dome, the night the impossible happened. The Buster Douglas fight is more than just an upset. It's a lesson about complacency, about respect, about how quickly dominance can evaporate when you stop doing the work. Mike Tyson walked into that ring believing he couldn't lose, and that belief cost him everything. For Buster, it's proof that one night can change everything. He wasn't supposed to win. No one believed in him except his corner. But he showed up. He executed his game plan. He stayed disciplined, and when the moment came, he didn't hesitate. He threw the punches that changed his life. And his mother's memory lives forever because of it. Boxing teaches brutal lessons. You can be undefeated, unstoppable, the most feared man alive. But the moment you take someone lightly, the moment you stop preparing, the moment you believe your own hype, you're vulnerable. Mike learned that the hardest way possible, on his back, in front of the world. And yet there's something beautiful about it too, because losing that fight didn't end Mike's story. It humbled him. It forced him to confront his weaknesses. And while he never fully recaptured his dominance, he became more human, more relatable, more real. Here's the final question. Was February 11th, 1990 Mike Tyson's greatest failure, or was it the moment that saved him from something worse? Maybe it's both. Maybe Buster Douglas didn't just knock out Iron Mike. Maybe he knocked some sense into him. And maybe that's why they can smile together now. Because they both know that night changed everything, for better and for worse. One thing is certain. The world will never forget the night the 42-1 underdog proved that no one is invincible. Not even Mike Tyson.